This is the Friday edition of Sports This Morning from Channel Television in the city of Lagos. My name is Yemi Adebayo. Let's go on this ride together this lovely morning. Well, there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to start with the headlines, the top stories in the world of sports. Well, Warriors and Bayelsa United continue the chase for continental glory. The two clubs are the Nigerian representatives in the CAF Confederation Cup. Okay. Well, it's also 83 days to the biggest football event in the world, and that's the FIFA World Cup. On June 12, Brazil and Croatia will step to the field. That will be the first game of the FIFA 2014 World Cup. So 83 days to go. We've started our countdown here on the show. Well, in the UEFA Champions League, the draws will be held today. And of course, the teams are eager to know who their opponents will be. And of course, as fans, the permutations have already begun. Some fans have already done their own quarterfinal fixtures, but we don't have to wait for too long. In about 2 hours, the draws will be held, and of course, we'll know how the pairings will be. And of course, finally, in the German league, Bayern Munich are champions in waiting. Victory in the Bundesliga this weekend, we earned the Bavarians the title. Okay, so that's it for the top stories in the world of sports this morning. Let me quickly introduce my partner on the show this morning to you. It gives me so much joy to have Kunle Philip back with me on the show this morning. Kunle, let me quickly welcome you to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Yemi. It's good to be here.
Okay, let's dive straight into it. Let's look at our teams on the continent. They're chasing for continental glory. I'm talking about Warri Wolves and Bayelsa United.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be very interesting, considering the fact that we are no more in the CAF Champions League, and we have two teams carrying our flag right now in the continent.
Flying our flag.
Yeah, flying it. Yeah, we're talking about Bayelsa United right now, who was initially filled with a lot of problems, but thank God, the issue has been resolved. And for Warri Wolves against AS B-17, delegation are expected to depart Lagos for Warri today to actually get themselves prepared ahead of this very game. It's going to be a very tough one. For me, Warri Wolves has one of the best collection of players in the Nigerian Professional Football League as we speak right now. And they also have a very, very good technical crew led by Paul Aigbogun. As a result of this, I want to say that they should be able to navigate their way against ASB13. But of course, it's going to be very interesting. You know what the North Africans bring to table anytime they play.
Yeah, they know how to play the away games.
Of course.
Well, like Kula said, let's take a look at the fixtures. The one involving the Nigerian teams. He has already given you an indication. Warri Wolves will be playing at home. Bayelsa United will be traveling. But let's take a look at the fixtures now. Our opponents. How Mine. That's a very funny name. A team from Zimbabwe. That's where Bayelsa United.
Relatively unknown.
Yeah, that's where Bayelsa United is going to. But being unknown can also be a plus,
of course,
because of the element of surprise.
Of course.
Then, of course, our own Warri Wolves will take on CAB13. That's the Tunisian side in the CAF Confederation Cup. All we have on the continent is now in the CAF Confederation Cup. All hands must be on deck. These teams must do well.
Of course, they must definitely do well, and they have been given all the support by the state government in the various states. And I'm so happy that Bayelsa United case was eventually resolved, and they, against all odds, were able to pull the chestnut out of the fire in their previous game, en route to this very stage. And you know, against a relatively unknown Zimbabwean team, they should be able to actually, looking at the way they did it against the Congolese team the last time out, they should be able to get the job done out there in Zimbabwe. And then for Warri Wolves, I think I still feel that Wadi Wolves has what it takes to get past the Tunisians. We know the kind of the antics,
I like it when
the antics they
Kule,
play.
I like it when you talk like this, because next week you are likely going to be here, and then we'll have a look at the results. We'll remind you of the things you said. But let's move on. Let's leave the continent. Let's talk about the FIFA World Cup, the biggest football event anywhere in the world, and that's the FIFA World Cup. That's going to be held in Brazil. It's in 3 days to go. From what we hear and what we see, the assessment, I feel Brazil is ready.
Of course, Brazil is actually, from the look of things, it looks like they're actually ready. They said it that they will be ready before June, when hostilities will begin. And there's so much problem about whether they will be ready. You remember the scandals that actually rocked the stadium.
This game, a befitting dress rehearsal. The former host.
Of course.
And the ones to host. South Africa against Brazil. It was a Neymar show on that day.
Yeah, it's a game the South Africans will not want to remember, because they were pummeled. They were whitewashed 5-0 in that game.
Well, so I don't know if this is what is going to happen when Brazil takes on Croatia. But of course, in the opening game of the FIFA World Cup, you will see Brazil. Brazil are in the news. Of course, they will put together the World Cup, and of course, they will play the opening game of the World Cup. Let's wish them all the best. And of course, spread it to our own national team. Hope that Nigeria does well at the FIFA World Cup. Okay, still talking about FIFA competitions now. Let's talk about the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup. It's no longer news that the Flamingos have booked their place in the quarterfinal of the competition. What's left to be seen is if, that's a confirmation of the previous results. Nigeria defeating Colombia, and of course Mexico defeating China. But now, let's take a look at the fixtures for today and tomorrow. Well, that's it on your screen. Zambia will take on Costa Rica. Venezuela will take on Italy. And of course, Canada will take on the Ghanaians, our West African neighbors. And of course, North Korea will take on Germany's Group A and B. Matches will take place tomorrow. And Kule, this is where our hearts and minds will be. Japan will take on New Zealand. A lot of people are talking about Japan already. They don't want us to meet Japan.
Absolutely.
I will tell you the reason why later on. Paraguay will take on Spain. Nigeria takes on Mexico. Winner takes all game. Whoever wins this tie tops Group D. And of course, Colombia takes on China. There's really nothing in this game, maybe just for pride. Of course,
for pride. But for the game between Japan and New Zealand, it's really going to be a very interesting one. The Japanese team that I've seen in this tournament so far looks like a team that could actually go all the way. That's why we are skeptical.
They've scored 10 goals. Remember, there was a time Nigeria scored 10 goals.
Yes,
didn't go past the quarterfinal.
Of course. But if you see the way the Japanese play, the transition from the defense to the midfield, they barely miss chances like our own Flamingos. But let's just wait and see how it goes, because the tournament is just
Nigeria to defeat Mexico.
Yes, that's exactly what I want. I want Nigeria to beat Mexico, and so that we can meet a weaker opponent.
Supposedly,
it could be Spain.
Supposedly weaker team, because it doesn't always work that way.
It doesn't always work that way. But I've seen Nigeria play, and I've also seen the Japanese play. And I just feel that this is not just the right time to meet the Japanese team. I would want them to go all out against Mexico, prove a point. It's not as if they've not been playing very well. They've been dominant in the 2 games they've played. But they tend to always miss those chances. Yeah, and then they leave their back, they open. At the end of the day, they get to concede some.
But that's the nature of the women's game. Even with the best teams in female competitions, you always see this. You see, I want us not to always get caught in the trap of comparing the girls with the boys.
Of course. Well, there are some teams in this tournament are here to concede a goal. There are some of those teams that like the Japanese team are yet to actually
beating the Chinese should count for something.
Of course, it should
level.
Of course,
in women's football.
In women's football, yes, it should count for something. It's a good one. We are in the quarterfinal, but in the last 2 editions, we've made it to the quarterfinal. We've not made it beyond the quarterfinal. We just hope that this time around, that's why we're praying that they get the job done against Mexico, so that
all right,
we can at least get to the semi-final.
Okay, that's our bit on the girls, and we hope they get to do well on Sunday when they take on